Unbalanced formations are a great way to present defenses with unique challenges to defend. And on the channel today, we have Coach Ian Tatum to break it all down for us. We're talking advantages, disadvantages, how you can get to unbalanced formations, and some run and pass concepts out of it. Let's dive in. All right. Well, we are making history on the channel today. First ever guest to be on the channel. Coach Tatum, really glad he's here. We're going to talk about some unbalanced formations. Let's go ahead and take it away, Coach.
Heck yeah, appreciate it, Coach Davidson. Appreciate you having me on. Ever since you came on, you did the clinic for me. I've been following what you've been doing on YouTube. It's fantastic stuff, and I'm glad you had me on here as your first guest. So, yeah, unbalanced formations. If you're not familiar with them, I am obsessed with them. We dabbled in them a little bit this year, and what it is, I'll go ahead and I'll share my screen and pull up Huddle and just show a little bit. So you see the huddle right here, Coach?
Yes, sir. We got it.
All right, awesome. So right now, basically, what the boils down to unbalanced is when you have you still have seven guys on the line of scrimmage, but you have an advantage on one side of the center or the other. Basically, usually going to have an ineligible, depending on how you do your unbalanced. This is a basic unbalanced formation right here. I just have tight ends same side as the strength. Just call it trips right, and I have the tight end also on the right on the line of scrimmage. So we still have seven on the line, but this guy is ineligible. And if he has the eligible number, it doesn't matter. Still ineligible. This was a big formation for us. So that's what I did first. One of the advantages to running some unbalanced sets, in my opinion, and what we found is you create a stronger blocking surface to one side of the center. I'm not going to put the team on blast, but I have screenshots of how teams adjusted and lined up to this formation in general, and they ended up having four guys on the backside of the play. When we have two guys, a guard and a tackle on the backside. That you count, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 if you run the quarterback. To there at the time was 7. So with a safety in the back, it makes more like 6. So unbalanced is creating an advantage on one side of the center. Now there are other types of unbalance where there's more unbalanced line. I'll do this one right here. This is more of a tackle over. If you've ever heard of tackle over, you move your tackle from one side to the other and bring your tight end. He's now eligible. So he's in green right there. So he can't go on routes if he has an eligible number. But this is tight end backside type ineligible. Still 7 on the line of scrimmage. And then you can have your formation like this. I'm just going to kind of get into a couple of different variations, Coach, while we're at it. Because once you understand the rules of formations in football, you can kind of get creative. And we'll get into some disadvantages of some things in a little bit, but I'm just going to kind of go wild for a second. So, real quick, another like a YH off formation. This is more of a run strength, a run heavy formation where you have you could be your tight end and a sniffer, two sniffers, however your personnel comes out off the ball. These guys can motion, they can pull, obviously, you can stay strong, run sweep to one side. But the one disadvantage is you're going to lose the eligible receiver because this Z over here is ineligible. He cannot go down the field. Things like that.
Right. So
Yeah.
I do want to say something about that though. So he's ineligible to go down the field.
More often than not, what I see or guys they'll go ahead and let him block and they'll have the Z, the X run a bubble
The X
or
run,
X
yeah.
run. Yeah, they'll run a smoke. Or they'll just, if they're in a formation, let's go like this. Let's say that instead of having him as a tight end, you can have him like out here as a split out. And when he's out here, you can still run whatever 3-man combination route you want to, but he just plays off. He just drops back off the ball. You're really just trying to make the defense adjust to a guy that can't go down to catch a pass.
Right.
Um, so
So,
that yeah,
because that's one of the things that I've seen before is just not covering him at all because he's covered up. But if he goes to
yeah,
block for a now or a smoke screen out there, you still have to have a second body over there, and then you're just forcing the defense to do some things to get uncomfortable. That's what I'm.
exactly,
So
exactly.
unbalanced is really something I'm not super familiar with. So I'm really excited about this because I'm such a two tackles, two guards, and a center up front. So it's really interesting getting into some of this stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, like I said, it's really just kind of knowing the rules of formations, and I got to have 7 on the line of scrimmage. And if there's 2 on the line of scrimmage on the same side, so like this right here on the same side, meaning they're on the right side of the center. If we flip it on the left side of the center, if there's 2 on the line of scrimmage on the same side of the center, one's ineligible, and it's going to be the inside guy. Um, really just understand that. But when you have a tackle over situation right here, this is still a quote unquote unbalanced formation, but now this Y is eligible if he's wearing an eligible number. So if you have like a combo guy that kind of like a third tackle, but he's a big receiver, put him in a 40s number, let him go to work. Let him put his hand on the dirt and let him run a corner or a flat route or something backside. Because if the defensive coordinator isn't preparing his guys, or if they're predicting, hey, this is a heavy run formation, this guy's going to get lost in the sauce. Or maybe a defensive end thinks he's just a tackle. These are high schoolers, right? That we're
Hmm.
mainly most of us are dealing with. So, eventually, especially if you're not throwing him the ball, he's not running any routes, they can fall asleep on him and stuff like that. So, yeah, this guy is eligible. Um, Now on this formation, if this was, say, a guy in an eligible number, he is eligible. But if he's in an offensive line, if he's in a 50 to 79, he can't go out for routes because it's not the NFL and we can't declare guys eligible and ineligible. So um, some of the things right here, and I'll get into some plays of some of these. Um, I'd use this as a motion unbalanced, having the Z backside, but we're going to bring him across. Um, a lot of guys, I've gotten into some arguments about unbalanced formations. It's really about, well, I'm just losing the guy. What's the point? Why don't you just do what's traditional and bring him over here? He's off the ball, and now I have all my guys. The thing is, the reason that this is different to defenses. They're not used to seeing this. Now these guys, I don't have a defense up here because I'm not going to get into fights with defensive coordinators. But if there was a defense up here and they had just have a 4-3 whatever, and all they have in this backside is a corner. Well, if he's over on this side as an eligible receiver, now they're going to bring somebody over here. But now that he is on to the offense's strength to the right, he's backside. You might get a mismatch because the defense is trying to overload because we have another guy over here. Now you might get a one-on-one opportunity. Now your slants, your nows, your outs, your fades are all there with a Z receiver, where you can bring him in motion, and you're just gaining another guy to the play side. So it's really just playing mind tricks with the defensive coordinator and the defensive players. Bill
And then it,
Belichick's he was big on unbalanced formations and eligible, uneligible type rules.
and in a formation like this too, you bring the Z back across as the corner, especially in the moment. Is the corner going to know that he has to follow him, or
Yeah,
if he does follow him, now you might be out a force defender if you run the ball with the tailback
yeah,
on the other side away from the jet motion. So, still some different problems we can present defenses with this stuff.
no doubt. Before we get into some of the other ones, just kind of list out my advantages. I talk about creating a stronger blocking service to one side. Um, You can do that by, like I said, by bringing a tackle over or putting everybody on one side of the center and making them declare, hey, we're going to overload. And then you can be creative as an offensive play caller by using motions and shifts to bring it back the other way. And it forces defense to adjust to something that they're not used to seeing. Everybody sees 2x2, 10 personnel dubs, 10 personnel, 3x1 trips. Everybody sees Trey, all this different type of thing, 11 personnel. But people aren't seeing stuff like this. And it makes defensive coordinators spend just a little more time on making sure that we can get lined up to this type of stuff. Especially with let's see, stuff like this. I know the first thing that defensive coordinators are going to say, hey, we got to declare a new center. That's the big thing they want to talk about. Declare a new center. So if we move the tackle over, now they're going to declare this guy the center, and they're going to still have their defensive line up. Like say this is going to be an over front. I'm not going to put them out here, but let's just say you got your end right here. You're going to have your nose, your 3 technique, and your end. So they're just going to bump everybody over. Well, that's great because now if you do that, now I have advantage to the backside. Maybe I like running into this 3 technique on the backside, but you normally play an overfront or you play an underfront. But now I can manipulate you where you're going to line up based off you telling your guys to bump over a gap. Bring this guy back in motion, and we can play numbers to the field or to the unbalanced away from the unbalanced side. So that's what defensive coordinators are doing. Hey, let's declare a new center and let's act like we reinvented the wheel. But I don't want to throw shade at any defensive coordinators, but that's usually what I hear. This formation right here, just a run versus a passing strength unbalanced. I have it on here. This tackle to the play strength to the passing strength is eligible technically, but if he's in a lineman jersey, he's not. So, but this backside Y is ineligible because he's covered up. And I call this a run versus a passing strength because you have extra gaps on the backside, but you have your 2 twins receivers to the front side. So if you like your 2-man routes, whether it be smash or whatever you want to call over here, and then you run that. If you like having the numbers advantage over here to run the ball, then run it to the backside. So you can kind of play around with both of these. Obviously you're going to have 7 guys up here on the line of scrimmage and 2 guys over here to run your routes or whatever, and you can motion one of these dudes. You can if you want to bring both of them to this side, jet on, trade one to here, then jet the other, or vice versa. However you want to do, bring this Z back to this side, and now you still have single receivers on both sides. It's just different things you can do because they're both off the ball. And we'll get into some plays in a second, but this one here, I'm a big H-back guy. So this right here is your tackle over with an H-back with empty, and with your T out here in the out single receiver where you can bring him in motion, and if you want to go some quarterback power read stuff, bring him in motion. It is what it is. This backside Y is just going to pick and hinge. You're going to have a double team, have the kick out, and have him window dress it, come in motion, run power read, arc the H, whatever you want to do. Just different things. It's just a different formation for the defensive coordinator to have to make his guys, study throughout the week and put it in his, game planning and all that stuff. Because you can say, oh, well, this is empty. Well, yeah, it's empty, but now we have a tackle over with an eligible receiver backside. So you got to teach your guys in coverage, hey, this guy can go down for a pass eventually if they want to. This guy's probably going to go in motion. You can run quarterback power. You can do all these different things. You still have your twins receivers over here. You can bring this guy all the way across and run all your 3-man receiver routes, sprint out with the H and all these 6 guys. There's a bunch of different stuff you could do. And this, I'm not really getting into game planning, but, I'm just trying to show how multiple this different stuff can be. And a lot of these different things these unbalanced formations have rules. If you want, hey, if you have a call for, hey, we call tight end to the left, tackle over to the right, something with an L. Tell the tight end he's to the left. And if you flip the formation, something with an R, tight end to the right. Now you can start tagging your H, tagging your T. Real quick, 1 to 2 syllable words to get into these different formations and then run your play. So different like that. For my flex bone type guys, I want to throw this up there. You can still do this type of stuff with triple option type deal. Now I know some guys are gonna be like, "Hey, coach, it's not the big a deal to be boom, and now you're still eligible." Yeah, I know, but say you're running, your rocket toss, okay, and I'm gonna just draw up some stuff. So if we're going, rocket toss, and I would just say, well, just reaching here, whatever, and then he's there, and he's coming in motion, and he is getting the ball. Now we now have pretty much all 10 guys going to the right, and student body right, they used to call it. So, this is just, playing around with some stuff. You can get technical with your rules or whatever later, but, it is what it is. I just want to put that on there for my triple option guys.
Shout out to Harding down
Yeah,
there in
shout out to Harden.
D2.
I know they beat Lenore Ryan, which is here in North Carolina, so a little
Mm-hmm.
salty about that. But here we go. Here's a fun formation. Just calling it box right here. You got your two guys on the ball. So your Z is ineligible. Okay, but then your two guys that are off and the X are all eligible. You could, if you want to be totally crazy with it, you put him out there, and then I mean, what are they gonna do? They're gonna put everybody over there, all six guys, 1-on-1 over here, and 5 in the box. All right, well, let's run some type of a quarterback play, or ISO, fold a guard or something. If you don't like the throw out here, that was just something fun I want to put out there. But you can get multiple with that as well. You can put your T over here, single him up, or you can put, if your X is your best receiver, put him over there and do like that, and you're singling him up. And they got to have at least 4 over here to keep numbers, at least 5 in the box to keep numbers with the offensive line, 6 to keep with the quarterback, So now they're 1-on-1 over here. So I'm big on creating numbers, creating mismatches, with stuff like that. Coach, if you have any questions, I can get into some plays, but
So
um,
we've talked about some
holla at me.
advantages. Are there any disadvantages of unbalanced formations that come to mind for you?
Of course, there's always going to be disadvantages to some things, and it's kind of like, well, if it's an advantage for me, it's probably going to be a disadvantage at some point. One thing I talked about an advantage was the time that a defensive coordinator has to put into it. Well, you have to put in some time into it as an offensive guy, on offensive staff as well, because this isn't normal. Um, you can give it rules, you can rep it, you can kind of make it as similar to your base offense as you can, which isn't that difficult. Come from somebody that's done it, but you're still going to have to rep those things if you want to be good at it. You're not having to create any new plays. Like you're gonna run, I can run drops and power and counter some stuff like that, and some sprint out passes and stuff like that. So you're not having to create any new plays, but the formations you got to get the guys used to it, because all summer, outside receivers on, these guys are off in these formations. Now you're having to break some rules, but just it's teaching it. So having to spend some time to teach these things can be a disadvantage. Usually, you become more one-dimensional with some of these formations. Like right here, we can run or pass out of this, but more often than not, this one I probably would pass because I have these 3 guys all together. But a formation like this, it's more like a run formation, because these guys are off the ball, so they're not necessarily vertical threats right now, as fast as you would want. Um, Other than this X, because the Z is not eligible to go downfield and catch a pass. So this is more of a run formation, so you kind of get a little one dimensional, unless you get empty. So a lot of these a lot of these are one back formations. Because if you want to count these guys as backs, you can or not. But I'm talking about
I do
true beside the
personally,
quarterback.
but
Yeah,
that's
I
30
do like
personnel
because
to me.
yeah, I would call this 30 personnel as well. Because my H back is I kind of as a back in 20. But
Hmm.
some guys, if they want to call a true like backs in the backfield, they bring this H back here beside the quarterback. Now they're running. Hey, now they got two backs in the backfield. Um, if you don't uh, call that like that, so these lights are one. So if you're going to motion that guy out, it's going to have to be your T. Now it's a lot of empty. If you don't have an empty type quarterback, wants to throw it a lot, that maybe doing that's not to your advantage. So it can be really one dimensional at times. And then the obvious, you losing a eligible receiver a lot of times. Like this guy, if he was just on the ball and he was off, which this is one of my favorite formations in
Hmm.
football, nub with an H back, I love it. We ran this,
I like to get that H back out there in a wing.
yeah,
But yes,
yeah,
I'm with
yeah,
you. Twins to
yeah,
one
man,
side and a four-man surface to the other.
yeah,
So underrated. And this is an unbalanced formation too. It's
yeah,
still a four-man surface to a two-man surface on the backside, and
yeah,
you want your defense probably to go 3 over 2 over the X and the Z, and then now you've got numbers to the front side. I love this. This might be my favorite formation in football. I like
yeah,
having the Z on the other side too, because then you're
yeah.
creating a 3-by-1 look, which is even more unbalanced, and so many things you can do with. I call this would be probably 12 personnel for me, even though I 21 and 12 are interchangeable to me, and
Mm-hmm.
11 and 20 are basically the same too.
Yeah.
But I love four-man surfaces, just any kind.
See now you see we talk about, hey, so okay, we're running this formation, whatever we want to do, motion the Z, motion the H to one side. You're running your plays. Okay, now you're running some unbalanced stuff. So now you have you call it invert, switch, whatever you want to call it. Put him on, put him off, and now we just literally just flip the formation with one little call, and now we can get him coming. Now we have everybody to the left. With the defense, hey, we've been seeing this. Defenses. I mean, these kids. Some of our kids are smart, but some kids don't know the difference between that and that. Like
Exactly.
it's very nuanced. So, and just being able to have some of this stuff in your toolbox is very valuable, I believe. Um,
Yeah, and I
but
would
yeah,
think to echo that, just having the number one receiver, so like the X in this formation and the Z on the other side, not always being on the ball. Because if the quarter if I'm the corner, and I mean, I know that I'm 27 years old and they're 17, but
mm,
if that should throw a red flag to me if he's always on the ball and now he's telling the ref that he's off. Maybe I need to look inside. Do we have a number two receiver or not? But if your number one's always on the ball and then he comes off, that should be a pretty big red flag there. Uh, but for me, I want to move them around to get some on and some off for number one and number two. But that would be a big red flag for me.
yeah, no doubt. So yeah, those are some of the disadvantages. Obviously, you're gonna, like I said, lose a receiver sometimes. One of our biggest deals especially in this formation right here, we we're not the most dynamic throwing team. So we had to figure out, hey, what could a quarterback do? He was pretty decent at rolling out and throwing. So, all right, what do we have more of? More receivers that can catch or more linemen that can block? So we had an extra tight end. He was my JV tackle, sophomore kid, really athletic that we played up. He played this I wish I could name it. I'm gonna figure out a name for this position, but he played this ineligible tight end. Like it was a third tackle. So that was good for us. And we just did basic sprint out. Like everybody was reaching and running, and we would run whatever 3-man combination you want to run. You want flood, we would run flood, and then you could run like a snag deal, like that. Whatever you want to do, your 3-man routes. That's what we would call. But we would have this guy right here, and we just treat him like another tackle. Like, why, when we're sprinting out all the time, why in the world would we have a backside receiver to run a post? Like, he's not never going to see the post. So let's use the guy to our advantage and put him in here to block. And let's give the quarterback some extra protection and do it that way. Even if you want to do some quick game, we would slide. We would slide away from him. So we would slide here, there, and he'd come along with us, and he'd go there, and we could still run whatever run stick. If you want to, go here, run stick. Whatever you want to call stuff. So that was some things that we did pass game wise with this ineligible tight end. Choose him as a third tackle. Now, if you have a gunslinger that can see the backside post, then more power to you. Don't do this, but we're just trying to find answers and try to give our guys some help. One big thing I said, I think we caught about this. We would run a lot of QB sweep because the defenses we saw, especially late in the season, couldn't line up to this. If there's any defensive coaches that want to draw this up for me, please draw it up. But what I'm saying, we went to overtime against a team, and they had 4 on the backside. So what did we do? We just reached and run, and we ran QB sweep because they had nobody out here. We had numbers all day. We were on QB sweep right, flip the formation, QB sweep left. If we wanted to, we would go bring this guy over here. We would motion him to this H, and we'd run power weak. This right here is one of my favorite things we did. Here we go. All right. I'm not going to have a defense on here, but y'all can all imagine. Okay, we would run. And he would skip pull. Big hands. That's power. Everybody knows power. Okay, but this H would kick, and then the Y would wrap as well. And we just called super counter. That was really big for us. One thing we would also do, it would be quarterback super counter because he would run bash there. We wouldn't read anybody, but you easily could. He would go there, and he would hit up with the 2 pullers, getting vertical. Because if they're gonna, if they don't bump to the strength over here with the 2 off guys, and they play strength over here, just as easily, we would have a call, whatever call you want to make. Hey, if it has an L in it, Louis. Okay, quarterback would call Louis. Now we're running outside zone, QB sweep, whatever you want to call it, to the left, right? So we would run super counter to the right, QB sweep to the left, QB sweep to the left, and then you throw your bubbles out here. Once they start to bring guys into the box, like, hey, we ain't got enough guys in here. And they keep 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 over here. Hey, let him go out here, stock. Whoever is most dangerous. If it's that guy, great. If not, it's the safety. Block him. Run the now. Smoke wherever you want to. Throw it out there real quick. Fake the cross. Throw it out there. This was really big for us because we can do multiple different things. We can motion this guy out. We put him on a wheel. This was dirty. We got about 5 minutes. We can motion him out here because these guys these aren't necessarily like fullback tight end blocking guys. These can be skill guys. You just put them in here. All I need you to do is ear hole guy coming across, split action, and ear hole dude. So we can bring him in motion. He's going there. He's going to go here. Well, then he's just going to run the sideline for the wheel route. Drop back, throw it in the bucket. Have everybody running, sweep this way. Just trying to get guys, trying to get different looks. So not necessarily an X's and O clinic, but I love it. So I just wanted to put some things out there that we did.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to line up in it. We got to run a play.
Yeah,
yeah. So especially putting some time into it, and I think that being able to just do a couple minutes, like you said, I think the defensive coordinator is going to have to spend more time on it than we are.
Yeah.
And I think that can be a real big advantage for the offense. So thanks for coming on and talking about these. These are definitely some things that I want to look at in the offseason as far as unbalanced goes, and just finding different ways to give defensive coordinators fits. That's what we do on our side of the ball.
Yes,
So really
sir.
appreciate it. First guest ever on the channel. Wouldn't have it be anybody else.
I appreciate you, Coach, so much.
Thanks, Coach. Now, Coach Tatum does have his own YouTube channel, and if you want to check out more of his content, you can find that in the link down below. And if you want to talk about more 4-strong passing concepts, click on the screen and watch this next video.